I discovered my husband's secret fetish, and it turned me on so much. Part 1. We started with a very normal and conservative marriage. Had 2 daughters, I became a soccer mom and drove my kids to various sports or other after-school activities. Over time, my husband and I began to evolve our intercourse lives into something you might call kinky. What I mean by that is that my husband and I agreed to open up our marriage for me and that I could date other men, but one rule was that I had to tell him about my experiences. But my initial reaction to his suggestion that we open our marriage was not well received by myself. At first, it was very upsetting when I realized he really wanted me to go out with other men. I thought it was the end of our marriage. But it became apparent he really wanted this, and of course, as a woman in her mid-40s with the same man for half my life, I was a little turned on by the thought of going to bed with another man. So, I finally agreed and we both did some searching on various dating sites and found our first man, who was a stranger. We met at a coffee house as my husband watched the exchange from across the room. I ended up going home with this man who lived nearby in an apartment. I texted my husband the address and the man's name and then off I went. My husband texted back that he couldn't wait for me to get home and tell him what happened. When I got home a few hours later, we immediately went to bed where I told him the story while we were in bed about how the date went. I told him what he'd said and done. I could see my husband was very turned on, but as I got closer to the actual intercourse, he went into lust overload as he was more turned on than I'd ever seen him. Then, I told him about my experiences with the man, and what he did inside me.